This book has advertisements for Nancy Drew, Nancy Drew, Nancy Drew, and My Life with the Chimpanzees by Jane Goodall. One of these ads is not like the other.
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
Nancy and her friends are on the coast of Northern California. They're here to do kayaking with George's friend, Katie Firestone. Katie is a champion kayaker who runs a whale-watching business on the side. Katie says the local fishermen hate her, especially their leader, Holt Scotto. Katie's been getting threatening notes and phone calls recently. When someone trashes her boat, she asks Nancy to investigate. In case you can't tell, this is the book that Nancy Drew, Danger on Deception Island, was based on. Nancy tries questioning some locals, but no one wants to talk. When Holt Scotto hears about this, he gets furious. How dare someone ask questions? He goes directly to Nancy's hotel so he can yell at her for being too inquisitive. Katie gets a phone call from Andy Jason. He owns a fleet of whale-watching boats, and he wants to buy Katie's business. Nancy and Bess pose as reporters so they can interview Andy. He is testy when they mention Katie, but more importantly, he lives 30 miles away. Call me lazy if you want, but I think we can safely conclude he's innocent. He lives too far away. Is he really going to travel an hour to commit mild acts of sabotage? Nancy and Bess stop at an abandoned lighthouse. There is a fence to keep people away because it's dangerous. Nancy and Bess don't care. They break into the lighthouse anyway, because they think the view will be nice. They're scared by a seagull, which was locked in a closet. They wonder who locked up the seagull and why. The book doesn't come back to the seagull, so your guess is as good as mine. I think it was Holt Scotto. He arrives at the lighthouse and he puts rocks outside the front door just to make it harder for Nancy to leave. Katie's friend Jenna Deblin arrives. She is also a kayaking champion. The group goes to a small forest. Nancy gets very scared when she hears the culprit walking behind her. She sees the culprit's silhouette. The culprit runs past Nancy, but Nancy doesn't get a good look at them. Back in town, a woman named Joan Kim is talking to the fisherman. She's an expert at getting rid of whale-watching tours. She brags she managed to stop Andy Jason from expanding his business. Nancy wonders how Joan outfoxed Andy. The culprit sabotages their bikes. Bess crashes into Ned. Ned crashes into a tree. Nancy worries about Bess and takes her to the hospital. As for Ned, Nancy basically ignores him. Poor Ned. Andy reappears. He renews his offer to buy Katie's business, and he disappears for the rest of the book. Katie finally takes the group out kayaking, which is the reason they came here. Jenna is hit by a sneaker wave. She's dragged out to the ocean and has to be rescued. She is angry that Katie didn't tell her what sneaker waves are. Remember, Jenna's on the world champion kayaking team. She doesn't know what sneaker waves are? Really? I think the ocean is mad that Nancy hasn't made much progress in her investigation. The ocean forces her to solve the mystery with a strong current that shoves her into a sea cave. She finds a horse-shaped belt buckle along with a baby whale. It is trapped in a holding pool. Back in town, Nancy goes shopping. She finds the woman who makes belt buckles. Get this. The woman keeps pictures of all of her clients. She uses the photos to confirm that buckle belongs to Joan. The sheriff questions Holt Scotto, who is belligerent, and pretends Nancy's the culprit. Nice trick, but it doesn't work. The sheriff tells Holt to leave Nancy alone, and he disappears for the rest of the book. Nancy, Ned, and Bess return to the whale area, where they are captured by the culprit's goons. They're tied up and taken aboard the culprit's freighter. Nancy has been tied up about 100 times by now, so she easily undoes the ropes and picks the lock on the door. Nancy learns Joan is the culprit. She's illegally capturing and selling baby whales to foreign countries. Joan has a gun, but Nancy has a pepper shaker from a dining room. Nancy throws the pepper in Joan's face. Joan is helpless, unable to do anything besides cough and cry. It's not a very exciting culprit capture. I can see why they changed it in the game. In a twist ending, it's revealed a different culprit sabotaged Katie's boat and bicycle. Nancy realizes it must be Jenna, who wants revenge after Katie took her spot in the kayaking team. Nancy and George arrive in time to stop Jenna from beating Katie with a branch. Jenna gets counseling instead of jail time, and George says it was a whale of a good time. Ha ha ha. The end. Post-book follow-up. This book isn't as good as the video game. Part of me wishes I hadn't played the game first, because then it would be a big surprise to learn the culprit has a whale. The first half was somewhat dull, with generic sabotage, mild danger, and predictable suspects. The book gets better once the whale appears, but the mystery aspects get worse. Both Holt and Andy disappear from the story. It's super convenient that a wave literally pushes Nancy to the mystery solution, and it's hard to believe a belt saleswoman keeps photographs of every client she's ever had. I did like the twist ending with Jenna, but I don't believe Nancy's explanation that Jenna's the only one who could have left a threatening note in Nancy's room. The book went out of its way to place Andy and Holt in the area at that time. Some people really like this book. I'm not one of them. I don't think the good parts are enough to balance out the bad parts. I definitely recommend the video game over the book. I read the ebook version. I noticed at least 5 errors. That annoyed me. I give Nancy Drew number 153, Whispers in the Fog, a 3 out of 10.